Hello, good evening. Welcome to PM Personality Profile. It is said that one of the safest means of transportation is flying, if not the safest. And of course, since the Wright brothers initiated flying, it's taking the efforts of brilliant pilots the world over to fly various fleet sizes to their safest destination. In Ghana, one of such safest pair of hands who has contributed immensely to the aviation sector is Captain Alec Grant Sam. He's my guest tonight on PM Personality Profile. He is the one who first flew Ghana's DC-10 from London to Accra when it was first purchased. Captain Sam?
Hello.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
How have you been?
Oh, been well, quite well.
Great,
Yes.
great. And it's good to see you healthy and still strong.
Yes.
Let's talk about your training first.
Yes.
And I want to talk about training because, I mean, those days, people thought it was even impossible for a black man or a Ghanaian to become a pilot.
That's right.
How was your training like? Where did you even train and how did your flying begin?
I trained at a flying school in the UK called the Air Service Training for between 47 and 52.
Okay.
I'm not quite sure. And I trained there, myself, Captain Ampoma, and one Mr. Gabra. Unfortunately, Mr. Gabra dropped out, and myself and Captain Ampoma qualified and came back home. In those days, there was only West African Airways that operated in Nigeria and along the west coast of Africa. And so when we came, we joined Nigerian Airways, and we stayed in Nigerian Airways in Nigeria for some time. I was transferred from Nigeria to Ghana in 1958, and I came to join a West African Airways crew in Ghana. And when Ghana Airways was formed, I was just drafted into it.
Wow.
Yes. So I was one of the few peoples in Ghana who was flying Ghana Airways.
Okay. Did you just bump into flying or you had an urge whilst going up to fly?
I had an urge.
Okay.
I think the first feeling of me learning to fly came in Kumasi. At that time, the Kumasi airfield was being prepared. There was no flight in Kumasi yet, but I was in Kumasi when the first flight came into Kumasi. And I was very, very amazed and interested.
Okay.
You know, yes. So I decided to join the crew, or to train as pilot.
Okay.
And I had planned to go to university at the time, and I changed my mind.
Okay, why?
Because the flying interested me so much that I decided not to go to university, but to go to flying, especially when we got the scholarship to UK to learn to fly.
Okay. So you went to train with a scholarship?
That's right.
Okay.
Government scholarship.
Okay. Wow. So after the training, then what next?
After the training, I came back and joined West African Airways because the headquarters was in Lagos. So I spent about 3 days with my family and then went to Lagos.
Okay.
And joined West African Airways. So I was based in Lagos, flying along the west coast of Africa.
Let's talk about your flying experiences. I mean, which types of fleets did you fly, and which among them would you say was most exciting?
I have flown Heron. It is a small aircraft that took 15 passengers, but it had 4 engines.
Okay.
Later on, it was given to the Air Force, Ghana Air Force.
Okay.
But I flew that a lot. I flew the Dakota DC-3. I went on to fly Viscount 838 for some time. And then I moved on to the VC-10, which is a big jet engine with the 4 engines at the back.
Okay.
And from the DC-10, I flew another 3-engine aircraft, which took 400 passengers. And after that, I flew several aircraft. And also, when we went on leave, we went to clubs, flying clubs, to fly all types of aircraft.
So how was the transition like from one aircraft to the other? Did you have to go back for training to be able to man another, from one aircraft to another?
Yes. We have to go for complete training.
Okay.
But when it came to flying small aircraft, that was not necessary.
Okay, because you've already had experience.
That's right.
With a bigger one.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. So that wasn't necessary. But moving from DC-3 to Viscount, we had to go to UK for a new course. Moving from DC-3 to VC-10, we had to go to UK for a new course. And even that, after qualifying on the VC-10, we were based in London, flying to West Africa.
You haven't flown the DC-10 all the way from London to Accra, the first to do that. How did you feel? How was the feeling like?
Oh, to me it was normal.
Okay, because you've flown.
Yeah, yes. And from London to Accra was between 5.5 hours to 6 hours.
Yeah.
It didn't take too long, and so it was no problem. It was normal for me.
Did you ever get to fly with Ghana's first president, Dr. Nkrumah?
Yes.
Okay, tell me about the experience.
I flew with him. I flew with him quite a few times. At one time, I was going to fly with him. He looked at me and said, "I know you somewhere."
Okay.
That's what he told me.
Okay.
You know, I've been flying him so often.
Oh, okay. So
But that's right. That is the first time he had noticed me.
Oh, wow.
Yes. So he said, "I know you somewhere." And that was quite interesting.
And
Yes.
how was the experience of flying a president like?
It was quite different.
Okay.
You had to be quite careful about your takeoff and landing and so on and so forth.
Very important.
Yeah, that's very important. One time I flew with him to Mali. And within Mali, we spent about a week flying the DC-10. Yes. And that was quite interesting. Very, very interesting. I flew Nkrumah and Modibo Keita in Mali for 1 week.
Must have been big for you to fly two presidents.
That's right. That's right.
But of course, whilst flying him, I'm sure you might have heard some of his conversations. What was his plan for the aviation center?
He didn't discuss it with us, but we somehow knew about it.
Okay.
He had even planned to buy a Concorde, you know, but we thought that was wishful thinking.
That Ghana could never buy a Concorde.
Yes, it was. It was even British Airways used the Concorde on the London-New York flight only. You see, and because the aircraft was supersonic, and moreover, London to Accra was quite short for it.
Okay.
Yes, so we thought that can never be, and of course, it was never realized. Yes, never realized.
But did he think about a commercial airline
Yes.
at that time?
Yes, Nkrumah bought 2 VC-10s, and later on we realized we could only use one.
Okay.
So the second one was sold to an airline in Europe.
What were some of the exciting moments? Do you remember any of those moments?
Nkrumah was a very simple man, and there were no odd requests or anything from him, you see, and so it was quite straightforward.
Did he sometimes interact with the crew?
Yeah, oh yes.
Okay,
Yes.
he did that quite often.
Very often, very, very often.
How was his relationship like with the crew?
Oh, it was straightforward and simple.
Okay.
We had general discussions and so on and so forth, and he told us about his plans for Ghana Airways.
But let's talk about the aviation sector at the time. How was it like, and what was the plan?
Nkrumah had a dream about Ghana Airways, about acquiring the best aircraft and so on and so forth. But you know, one can dream about these things, but the cost of setting it up wasn't in their plan.
Was it that they didn't have the money, or they just didn't have the will
Ghana didn't have the money
to do that?
Yes, and moreover, our route was Accra, London,
Okay.
and the one VC-10 we had was enough. So actually, there was no idea for planning anything bigger.
Okay.
We didn't go to Paris. We didn't go to so many destinations. It was Accra, Rome, London, and London, Rome, Accra, period.
Okay. So the president, did he have a special aircraft that was dedicated to him to fly anytime he was traveling, or he could just go with any aircraft?
Quite often he flew with the VC-10 because he was quite particular about safety. Being flown by Ghanaian crew with Ghanaian stewardesses and stewards on board.
Okay.
And he had more confidence in that.
Okay. And the DC-10 was the best at that time?
It was the fastest.
The fastest?
That's right.
And the safest?
The safest, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So the president really enjoyed flying on that one.
That's right, yes.
Which was the last one you flew?
The last aircraft I flew was a DC-10.
The DC-10?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, was the DC-10, which is a very good aircraft. Very, very good. And I flew that for a long
time.
Yes.
Okay. Let's talk about your managerial experiences.
I was the chief pilot of Ghana Airways.
Okay.
So the distribution of the crew depended on me.
Okay.
Yes. And it was quite straightforward. and I was quite fair with everybody. I was looking after the F-28 crew, the DC-9 crew, and then the DC-10 crew. They all came under me.
Okay.
And I distributed the responsibilities equally amongst them.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So they were all happy. I hope.
So how did you feel when you heard that Ghana Airways is no more?
I was sad because, and again, I was not surprised. I've forgotten the date, but British Airways was grounded for a short time because at the time they owed $4 billion.
Okay.
And they were finding it difficult to pay that. And from what I hear, Ghana was grounded because it owed $200 million. And it had no means of paying it. It was dependent on the Ghana government to pay the debt.
Okay.
And the Ghana government too was broke.
At that time.
That's at that time. So the airline was just halted.
If Ghana Airways was to come back today, I mean, would you recommend that we bring back Ghana Airways?
It should then be a different arrangement.
Okay.
That is, team up with other airlines.
Okay.
And because Nigerian Airways international flights folded up, and Air Afrique, if you remember, they too folded up, and then Ghana Airways. But if the three could get together and plan it properly, it should work.
Okay.
It should work. Because British Airways is still operating, after so many years.
I'm sure whilst you were flying, you had some navigational challenges. Share with me, what were some of the challenges you had as a pilot then, at that time? And what would you say are the changes over time?
We had few problems because the government sorted out our problems for us. We had the Minister of Aviation, and they sorted our problems. And of course, the routes we were flying were very few, so the problems were not large.
Okay.
And when we planned to extend it, we realized we would bring in more problems to the government. So we kept on flying the routes we were flying, Accra, London, Accra, London, Accra, London. When we could have flown Accra, say Mombasa, Accra, Paris, Accra, so many routes.
Okay.
But we didn't plan because there was so many restrictions. It was the commercial department that planned the routes for us.
Okay.
And they were restricted by the ability to pay their debts, their crew debts. So they didn't plan anything greater than Accra, London. Yes.
And whilst at Ghana Airways, I hear you were nicknamed Ayatollah.
Yeah.
Share with me how you you earned that name.
In the beginning, I was very strict.
Okay.
Very, very, very strict. And I was then also more or less one of the deputy. There were two managing directors. The commercial director, myself, who were deputy to the managing director.
Okay.
And I particularly stopped cabin crew who were not efficient.
Okay.
Yes. if you didn't do your work well, I grounded you. It was as simple as that.
Okay.
So they named me. At that time, the Ayatollah was raging in the Middle East. So, so they named me Ayatollah Khomeini. Yes, they named me Ayatollah Khomeini, but I didn't mind. They kept on. I kept on being very strict.
Okay.
Yes, very strict.
Because you wanted things to
That's right.
be well done.
Exactly. And I was a member of management.
Okay.
Yes, I was a member of management. So I made it my responsibility, and also the cabin crew were under me.
Okay.
You see, so I made it my responsibility to see that they operated efficiently. And that got me the name Ayatollah Khomeini.
But what would you say would have been done? I mean, what would have been the ideal, strategies to deal with some of the challenges that we were facing at that time to sustain Ghana Airways?
In the first place, the government sometimes dictated the routes we should fly. You see, when we thought it wasn't profitable, they would tell us. For instance, the government came with a directive that all government officials traveling abroad should fly free. You see, and also some of them fly first class, and we didn't think that was. What should I say? I think that interfered with our operations. And sometimes they would tell us, fly to Casablanca, just simply because there was one government official on it, and he was going to Casablanca. So we had to fly.
That you had to fly to Casablanca.
Land to Casablanca, and so on and so forth. And that we didn't like that. Yes. Yes. The commercial department complained, but we were more or less dictated to by the Ministry of Aviation. Two sections run the airline: Ministry of Aviation and Ghana Airways. Yes, so that made it unprofitable. Yes, it made it unprofitable.
And that could be the reason why we ran the loss.
Yes, yes. And also sometimes some of the managers were appointed by the ministry. Yes, in Ghana Airways, you see. And again, that wasn't favored by us.
Do you ever have any regrets for flying extensively?
No.
Okay.
There was a time when I was flying too much.
Okay.
I was flying too much.
And would you say that did it affect your private life?
To some extent, yes. Yes.
Okay.
It affected. My wife could explain it better. You see, but it affected my private life, yes.
Captain Alec Grant Sam. He is one of the people who have contributed immensely to the aviation sector. He's been sharing with me some of the strategies we can take to make our aviation sector one of the safest and one of the lucrative sectors. When I return from this break, he will be telling us the most necessary reforms we need for the aviation sector. He will also be sharing his growing up and childhood moments with us. Stay with me. I'm coming right back. Welcome back to PM Personality Profile. My guest tonight, Captain Alec Grant Sam. He's one of the people who have really flown extensively, one of Ghana's pilots, and he's been contributing his quota to helping build the aviation sector of Ghana. And we're having some fun here. Captain, you were telling me about one of your memorable moments flying.
Yes. The occasion was a very hazy situation in Ghana.
Okay.
And British Airways didn't come to Ghana because it was so hazy. Visibility was about 50 to 100 yards. And other airlines didn't come into Ghana, Nigerian Airways and so on, Air Africa and so on. And I flew into Ghana.
Wow.
And the Ghana Airways staff carried me around the airport. And I wouldn't say what they did, but they carried me for about 5 minutes around Accra Airport. And
Hailing you.
hailing me, yes.
Oh, wow. You did a wonderful job, because even if British Airways couldn't fly, you were able to maneuver.
That's right. That's right.
Were you not scared?
No, no,
Wow.
no, no, no.
Up there.
I was not scared.
That was bravery. So what would you describe as one of the most important reform that we need for the aviation sector?
Oh, the improvements should come in civil aviation. And also, if you intend to form Ghana Airways again, there should be tremendous improvement in that section.
Okay.
Yes, yes. Ghana Airways wasn't the best airline. No. It was formed by Kwame Nkrumah, and they just put people at the head of the various sections. People who were not suitable at all. Some were even semi-illiterate.
Okay.
Yes. And that was the beginning of Ghana Airways. But it could have been, if the government intends to form a private airline, then the government should form a committee, should overhaul the civil aviation and Ghana Airways and set it up properly.
Okay. What part of the country do you come from?
I'm 20.
You're Fanti.
Yes.
From where?
Well, I was born in Cape Coast. I grew up in Cape Coast. Though I've lived in Kumasi before.
Okay, so both parents are from
Cape Coast, yes.
And how was growing up like in Cape Coast?
I went to Zion School in Cape Coast.
Okay.
And it was a good school. And I went to St. Augustine's College.
Okay.
St. Augustine's, yes.
You're an APSU.
And
APSU forever.
APSU forever. And after finishing secondary school, I went to the UK on the flying scholarship.
Okay.
You see, I had planned to go to university, but when the flying came, I went for flying.
You abandoned
That's right.
Decision. Yeah. How was the experience like as a young boy, St. Augustine's, all-boys school? How was the experience like?
Oh, it was fine. I was a bit troublesome, but
So were you having problems with the seniors?
a little, a little.
What were you doing that made you so troublesome?
I hate abiding by rules and laws and regulations.
You always wanted to do the opposite.
That's
thing.
right. Yes.
Okay. And so it always would land you in trouble then.
Always in trouble. I think I was suspended for 2 months.
My goodness.
When I was taken to school. Yes.
Were you a science student? Were you an art student?
I was both.
You were both?
Yes.
You did both science and art?
That's right.
During your time you could do that?
Yes. You could, yes.
Are you into sports? Did you have a favorite game that you used to play?
Table tennis.
You used to play table tennis?
That's right.
Oh, wow. How did you develop the love for table tennis?
We used to play the table tennis during off hours.
Okay.
During off hours. And also, we developed a house competition.
Okay.
There were 4 houses in St. Augustine's. House 1, house 2, house 3, house 4.
Okay.
And we used to, there was table tennis competition all the time.
Okay.
Yes. So that's how it was developed.
You said you listen to music.
Yes.
What type of music do you like?
I used to play the guitar.
The guitar?
A lot.
Oh, wow. I see.
I used to play high life, classicals, and so on and so forth. But my guitar had a problem. It got spoiled. And I didn't buy another one.
And that was it. That was the end. But you say you love Congo music?
Yes.
Okay.
I used to play classicals and all sorts of music. I also played hymns.
Okay.
A lot.
Let me go back to when you were flying. How did the family take your absence all the time? Your children, your wife, how were they taking it?
Luckily, I had a good wife. And she organized the children very, very well.
Okay.
And the children went to Christ the King, where everything was regular.
Okay.
Yes. So I hadn't got much problem in that direction. Yes. And I used to live at the airport for a long time.
Okay.
So things were simpler.
Okay. Once you come in, you could just dash home.
That's right.
And come back.
That's right.
For work.
Yes. Yeah.
What advice would you give to the young ones coming up, especially those who want to venture into the aviation sector?
I would say, first of all, they should study what aviation involves.
Okay.
Yes, and understand it well. And aviation, they can go to civil aviation or go to the flying section. Yes, but what I would say is flying is very peculiar. Okay. You can never be a captain unless you've flown so many hours. Above a certain number of hours, you can be a captain.
Okay.
Below that, you can never be.
Okay.
Yes. So they should study it and be sure they want to fly before they go into flying. I know so many people who went into flying the wrong way and they never flew.
Okay.
They never flew. They never, I should say, they were never captains.
Wow. What would you advise modern day pilots to do in order to land safely? Because I mean, we've had a few plane crashes here and there. I mean, how important should they take safety whilst flying people to their destinations?
Well, safety, pilots attend simulator training.
Okay.
And that should be taken seriously.
Okay.
And there were some people who didn't have the money to fly. So what they did was they went to the Air Force first.
Okay.
They joined the Ghana Air Force. And then when they retired, they came to civil aviation. Or they joined airlines. But what I will say is, flying in the Air Force too wasn't quite adequate.
Okay.
Yes. So the Ghana government should overhaul the whole flying system.
Okay.
Yes. They should, if they make it easier to enter the Air Force, many people will go to the Air Force because they cannot afford flying privately.
Okay.
So they go to the Air Force, then from a time, and then the Air Force training too should be overhauled.
Okay.
So that from the Air Force, they find it easy to come to civil flying.
Captain Alec Grant Sam, thank you so much for talking to us. We're really grateful that you allowed us into your life. We wish you well, and we pray for God's abundant blessings for you as you retire.
Thank you very, very much indeed.
Thank you so much, viewers, for watching. Same time next week, we'll bring you another interesting personality on PM Personality Profile. My beautiful dress is made by Needle Thread Design. Call them on 0543196451 or visit their showroom at 34 West Loop, Tesano. My beautiful makeup is supplied by Nasa Cosmetics. Get one for yourself at Sierra Beauty Clinic inside the Palace Mall on the Spintex Road. Call them on 0242 438799 or 0244 975370. Same time next week, we'll bring you another interesting edition of PM Personality Profile. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. Enjoy the rest of our programs.